Chapter 22. The way through the caverns is cold and desolate. I follow closely behind Joachim as he navigates between rocks and over creeks. Mist dusts my face from the river as the water breaks and splashes against the walls, the water running its usual course upward. I stare at the churning liquid, remembering what it did to me, as if it had an agenda, existed purposely to twist my mind into clay, and how it morphed my thoughts. To have another episode like that would destroy me, end my search for Dorian, and allow Joachim to go free. Shifting my eyes back on Joachim, I notice his pace quickens and I find myself hastening my own movements. He seems to have a renewed interest in finding Dorian, and I can't help to wonder about the reason why. Maybe it's because he knows I'll drive my blade into his skull, or maybe he still really cares about Dorian. I have seen cases before where victims of the curse were able to suppress the urges of vampirism and remember their human side. Regardless of what was retained, regardless of what was confessed or absolved, they would die in the end. There is no place for vampires in this world, good or bad, and they will die by my hand, with or without God on my side. Joachim's clothes are soiled and muddy brown, splashing far stretches of shallow water. It is no surprise that I too become the same color. Some areas near the river's bank are mud traps, and not once, but twice, I find myself falling behind, slowing down because of the muck. He leads on without stopping, never looking back to see if I follow. He is determined. Joachim, slow down! He doesn't answer. Joachim! It's too late and I lose sight of him. Pulling my leg from the mud, I shout, Joachim! Still no answer. From one rock to another I take short leaps, peering between boulders and broken pieces of wood. My eyes scan dark crevices revealing dancing shadows from torchlight. Joachim knew. He was prepared. Going this way would hinder me, slow me down. Joachim! I call out again, my anxiety rising. A cool breeze blows across my face as I pass between two stones. There is Joachim in the distance, walking a sweeping expanse of flat ground. Wind generated from the river pushes my body forward as it whips my hair about my shoulders. Joachim is in his own world, walking slowly in a straight line. He does not hear me. His head moves back and forth, watching the ground, studying it. As I move out into the open, I get this sudden feeling of exposure. My hand is ready to throw the bwaka in an instant, yet there is no foe to combat, no new horror to encounter. Only Joachim, who stands solemnly at the center of an open plain, his crushed velvet tunic rippling from the gusts. I come up behind him before he has a chance to flee. Do that again. It was here, he says, cutting my speech off. Here is where they beat us. Joachim points to dark-colored areas on the ground, maybe once red, now brown. It was here they made me drink the water. It was the last time I saw Dorian. When I look about the vast openness of the area, I see nothing particular about it that would warrant its striking. There are a few scattered boulders and old animal bones. Not even spider webs linger about. There is nothing here to go on as I circle around, passing by the river edge, searching near an outlying crop of stacked rubble. As I head back to Joachim, I notice he is close to the ground, crouching. Before I question his motive, he runs his fingers along one of the dark spots. What's he doing now? His hand goes to his mouth, and there is no time for me to react. His head turns to me with red eyes, bearing fangs of a yellowish brown. Readying my blade, I realize I will have to find Dorian on my own after all. But Joachim doesn't attack. His composure restrains him, as if fighting some internal battle. If you want to find your son, this is the only way, Joachim says. His voice is changed, possessed by something other than himself. Before I can say a word, he takes off, darting among the rocks in the direction we have not yet traversed. I have no choice but to follow. His speed is incredible, not like before when we fought. It's the frenzy, the blood. His senses are developing fast. It's only a matter of time before he is lost to the curse, and I drive my straight through his heart. Chasing after him, I wonder at the ethics I'm practicing, following a vampire into darkness to search for a son who is most likely dead. I feel like the devil is guiding me deeper into his domain, and I am gladly following him into that hellish realm. What does it matter at this point? Having lost everything, nothing matters anymore, especially my own safety. Climbing the rocks proves difficult for me as Joachim dashes about them like a beast in the forest. Despite the pain in my shoulder and the scars on my face, the cold air gives me comfort as I ascend. Rock after rock I pull myself along, feeling the ache and burn of my rib, but determination keeps me going. Reaching the top, a vast darkness stretches before me, and within it, a faint spattering of light decorates the blackness in splotches. Are they torches? I hear the roar of a river nearby, and the faint mist of water reminds me of the strange things that happened to me days ago. Has it been that long? It's impossible to tell time passing in the dark. Joachim says nothing as I follow him. It is the blind leading the blind, but how much of Joachim's unknowing is really true? We pass the torches I saw only moments ago and realize they mark a path. Joachim sniffs the air and continues forward, moving past the carcasses of eviscerated animals, and he presses on the more I realize we are in the den of some creature. The ground continues on a descending slope, and the pressure in my ear hurts. "This way," Joachim says solemnly, in the same tone he always used when serving my family. Faster and faster he moves, and I find myself running to keep up. The scent must be stronger, the blood of my son. I feel like a hunter with his hound, tracking the wounded to its resting place where he would claim the reward without a fight. I have a feeling what I will find may terrify me. The howling we can hear in the distance has no effect on Joachim. He keeps going, passing his gaze back and forth as he comes to large openings in the cavern walls, long tunnels that split at various intersections. I feel I'm racing against time with Joachim so determined to find Dorian. I follow him down a wet cave full of thick fog, and progression slows due to the inability to see. "Joachim!" I say, hoping he doesn't go too far without me, but it's too late to worry. I no longer see him, and the torches in the walls provide minimal light. It will be easy to get lost in the maze of tunnels. "Joachim!" I shout a second time. The only reply is my echo. The howling is closer, and I hear the pattering of nails on stone. Pressing my body against the cave wall, I start making my way forward with a little as noise possible. I am certain the Daver hounds are near, and not few in number. Moving inside a tunnel system far underground is nerve-wracking. The endless roar of the river sounds like a beast in perpetual torment. It's enough to drown out the noise I make. Soon the walls give way to an opening that expands in the distance and ends abruptly. Coming to a halt before an opening of what seems to be the side of a cliff, a sharp ledge bears down from my feet. Off to the side, the rushing water of the Faust River gushes from an immense opening in the side of the rock. With no solid rock bed to carry its normal ascension, it pummels down into the massive void below, vanishing into darkness. Did its source of power end here, or was it following the natural contour of the riverbed? I turn around to go back the way I came and stop. Daver hounds are waiting for me, 12 of them, more than double from the encounter in the dungeons. teeth set in overexposed gums. Blood and bile drip from their jaws as if they've recently finished a meal. Some of them lick their teeth, their serpentine tongues thin at the ends. There are a few with their ribs exposed from the inside, their guts hanging out as if they'd been attacked by something. I wonder if Joachim had anything to do with it. One of them gives a ghastly howl and they all shift. Snarling their teeth, they come for me, running at full speed. Between the roar of the waterfall and the growling, the clattering of their claws is lost and I counter. Pulling the bawaka and the silver stake from my belt, I twist and wield my weapons with deadly precision. Immediately I sever the throat of one daverhound as it ram the stake through the belly of another, coming underneath it as it leaps for me, ensnaring my weapon. More attack me at the same time, yet I can't address them all. Some clamp onto my leg, two grapple with my arms. If they wrestle me to the ground, all will be lost. With all my strength, I rip the silver stake free from the dead daverhound's stomach, and I drive it through the brains of two clamped to my arm. With a flick of my wrist, I spin the blade in an arc, cutting the leg off one and slashing the face of another. Their barks wither into yelps as they cower from me, hobbling away, ears flat against their wrinkled heads. They form a circle around me, taking steps back and forth, snapping their teeth, flaring their nostrils. One comes too close and I drive the stake through the top of its head, sending it into spasms as blood gurgles from its mouth. "Is that it?" I shout to the hounds. "Who sent you?" I know they won't answer me, but my frustration peaks. With Joachim gone, how will I find Dorian? I swipe with my blade at another daverhound and it jumps back with a growl. The fog is getting thicker and more hounds arrive. Soon I can't see anything. I twirl the torch around me to keep the hounds at bay, taking steps backwards so that my backside is protected by the wall. The growls continue as the back of my heels hit stone. Inching toward the way I started, I hear the clicking of the daverhounds' feet and the breathing in their hanging tongues. Then the growling increases, and I imagine their breath pushing the smoke in and out of their lungs. Louder it continues, and I know it's only a matter of time. I keep inching along the wall. There was a sudden upset of yelping and roars as chaos unfolds in the blinding fog. There is the swirling mist and the sound of sticks breaking. Yelps turn into growls, and soon it sounds like there are hundreds of daverhounds fighting over a piece of meat. The commotion causes the fog to dissipate, and through it I see the gray skin of the daverhounds moving around in a frenzy, lashing with their teeth at something. An animal, perhaps? Suddenly hands appear through the mist and snap the neck of a daverhound. More crunching, more breaking. Hands lash out again, turning the daverhound's skin red with its long nails. High-pitched screams come from the hound's torment, and I know what is in there will come for me next. I make to move, but something has my leg. I burn the side of the daverhound with my torch and it releases, scurrying away with its skin ablaze. Through the clearing fog, more hounds are running to me, mouths open, tongues dripping. In a sudden moment, something lands on top of them like a hellish demon, lashing out with its long nails and wiry hair bouncing about its shoulders. With both hands, it braces their heads against the ground with pressure, pushing and crushing the fluids from their eye sockets. Through its dirty hair, I see fangs, and they rip into the side of a daverhound's neck. Its red eyes look up at me. Joachim. How different he looks. The shirt he was wearing is gone. His pants are nearly torn away. All that remains are the boots on his feet. I stare at him as he feasts on the beasts, sucking their blood. His pupils dilate at his mouth as his mouth releases. He sucks in a deep breath. "You need to get out of here," he says, wiping blood away from his mouth. "More are coming." Another daverhound bites into Joachim's shoulder from behind. Joachim screams and grabs the back of the beast's neck, pulling it free, ripping his own pale skin in the process. Blood gushes from his neck, but it seems not to affect him. In fact, he is smiling. Joachim tears its neck out and the beast falls limp. "Go!" I take off as dozens of daverhounds come pouring in, clamoring over Joachim like a river of canines. I hear him yelling at the hounds, distracting them as I exit the tunnel. I do not know where to go. There are so many different ways, so many openings. I need to keep moving. Howling and barking come from some of the passages, so I run in the opposite direction. Descending further into the cave system, crossing over bridges and leaping off stones, I realize the sound is still following me. I look over my shoulder to find more Daverhounds chasing after me, Joachim at the lead, slamming the dogs into the walls and tossing them into the air. He's still trying to protect me. Even though they are attacking him, they are moving past him as well. It's not his blood they want, it's mine. I keep running. There is a crash somewhere above me and boulders come tumbling down. Another collapse? More barking from another direction makes me realize the tunnels are more than just passageways. They are the homes to these devilish creatures. More join the pack and they are closing on me. Joachim is still there biting and beating them into bloody pulps. The tide won't turn with these impossible odds. There is a flash of light and suddenly I'm back in the room with my beloved Diana. When we were young, back in her father's house, in her bedroom. It is raining outside and I'm soaked to the bone. What is happening to me? Am I dreaming again? No, not now. Now is not the time, Diana. I watch myself undress and climb into that warm bed with her. So soft, those plush pillows. Stop! What are you doing? I find myself yelling at myself. I must be going insane. There is a rap at the door to her room. Quick, Tenna! It's my father! He's going to kill you! You need to get out! I fall off the bed and onto the floor. Splashing into a small creek that has escaped the main part of the river, I stand in the shallow water, gasping for air. There is brilliant white light all around me, and just as I come to, it vanishes, leaving me in the dark tunnel with only the torch lit in my hand. I try to get a grip on reality. What is wrong with me? More barking from Daverhounds. More shouting from Joachim. I stand up and start running through the dark corridor again. Tenner! Comes a voice further up the passage. No, not again. I want to ignore the voice, but I'm running in the direction of it with nowhere else to go. Tenner! Comes the voice again. I know that voice. From the darkness, Father Bronin emerges. He holds a brilliant torch over his head and in the other hand, one of his holy flasks. God's will! You're alive! I'm relieved to all ends. My friend, there is so much I want to ask him, but my breath prevents me from speaking. Hands on my knees, I hear the echoing bark of the Daverhounds coming. Come, Tenner! There's no time, Bronin says. His blue eyes are bright and alert. Wait, I say, grabbing his arm. I found him. Found who? Without looking back, I feel Joachim's presence approaching. The familiar power he holds, that of the vampire I have hunted for so long. I turn to meet him, to thank him for what he's done, but something isn't right. His face is screwed up and his eyes are wide. You, says Joachim, as it is the last word he says as glass shatters against him and his skin bursts into flames. No, I cry out. Joachim screams as he staggers and crumples to the floor, rolling around in agony. Jumping away to avoid the fire, I look to Bronin, grasping the cloth at his chest and shaking him violently. Why? There is a look of horror and confusion on Bronin's face as he tries to stammer out the words. He was one of them, a Colonel Risi. I back away from Bronin, speechless, and turn to look at the smoldering ruin of Joachim's remains. Crouching, I hold my hands out before the dying embers of his body, watching the last chance I have at finding Dorian go with them. I shout in frustration. Damn it! Tenner, please, says Bronin, grabbing my shoulder. Snap out of it. I push Bronin back. Stay away from me. We cannot stay. There's genuine concern in his eyes. The Daverhounds howl in the distance. I can't help but look at the ashes of Joachim's body. Not all is lost, says Bronin. I turn to face him. Yes, it is. I have failed. Don't be sure of that, says Bronin. I know where they've taken Dorian.